The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. The Rockingham Speedway has proven to be quite the challenge here this week for the Area Series, and we'll see what can happen now with the Florida State Builders Pro Series drivers. The fresh repave, the high speeds, but the same difficult confines that have gone down in history with the Rockingham Speedway are the challenge that we'll be facing here today on a Thursday night. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for the Florida State Builders Pro Series round number 6 here from the Rock for 150 laps around this racetrack. Got to be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth, and the same man as last week who did a phenomenal job in his opening tenure here with area. Cody Bird going to help me out with the commentary. So these O'Reilly cars, Cody, the hardest on the NASCAR tier. And again, still a lot of unknowns and challenges with this Rockingham repave.
Yeah, the repave has been getting some great feedback from some drivers around the world, but of course iRacing brings a completely different challenge. What you're going to see is with the new dynamic track through iRacing, it may end up being a single groove, and the dirty air may throw a wrench into the race here tonight.
Absolutely. We've seen some multiple lanes, but we haven't seen them going from the white line to the wall as we have in prior builds and prior usage on this track. Of course, we want to thank everyone who is tuning in here to PTR TV. Like and subscribe here to us on our side. And if you are watching on Twitch, consider hitting that follow button and the subscribe button over there. $5 a month gets you the double points custom emotes, and you can eventually turn those double points into some free area merch. But this is the 95 on the racetrack. That is Sebastian Marin. Anytime this driver's been on the track, he has been money, and we'll see what he can muster here today. But let's quickly pull up our point standings here after 5 races. Peyton Howell, who has been rather competitive this week, winning the Cup Series race, but he's up by 8 points over Jake Nichols. John Hall with a win on the season. Brian Mercurio just having a lot of bad luck, hoping to turn it around there. Is 70 points separating our top 10 here. So we'll see what these drivers can muster, Cody. But you talked about dirty air here at the Rock. What else would you consider to be one of the main challenges of the Rockingham Speedway?
So, granted, take this with a grain of salt, Corey. I'm not the best driver on the service, but at least with the old track, turn 1 and 2 was always difficult for me personally, just because of the way the banking is compared to 3 and 4, and also the front stretch with the way it arcs out. Now, granted, as you can see here with the onboard, he takes the line the correct way, but you may see some guys try that low line and try to get ahead of the guy in front.
This exit here of turn 2 was a very cataclysmic part of the track on Tuesday night. That wall comes right out at you. And something else about Rockingham, Cody, is the way you approach turns 1 and 2. Again, with that very tight corner exit, you can't really take that rip the white line approach. You kind of either have to enter high or do that, as we like to call it, the diamond line, so that you can get that run off the corner.
Yeah, and that's a very good point there, Corey. And another thing is, you always hear at certain tracks like Darlington, and any other track that may have 2 different corners to it, that you kind of have to have your setup dialed in for 1 and 2. Obviously, with this being fixed, it's going to give them an opportunity to kind of see what side of the track is going to provide that better racing.
Absolutely, and the sun has been going in and out here of the Rockingham Speedway, which will change the weather, which will change the track temp, which will change where these drivers want to be running here at this racetrack. But that'll conclude qualifying here, and as you can see, Peyton Howell, our points leader, will continue his efforts and his skill this season with a good starting spot. Although we do have some penalties, we'll go over that. Of course, starting from the rear is not fun at any track, Cody, but this Rockingham Speedway, I kind of gave you some privy to how the races have gone. These races have really started off super, super rough this week. It has been chaotic, but they've eventually sort of cleaned themselves up. So you think starting in the back might be a little worse here than it would be at other tracks?
Yeah, I definitely do think that it's going to be a little more difficult to start towards the back of the field here, especially with the repave. We see it at all types of different tracks. When a track is freshly repaved, the racing sometimes can get single file, but like we saw last week at Iowa, Peyton Howell with the win last week, it can be done.
Absolutely. If you keep that car clean, you will have the chance, and that's sometimes all you need. We've seen many last to first challenges. Sebastian Marin has been able to do it many times across all the different divisions here. Yeah, we've seen Peyton Howell do it at Iowa last week, of course, in that grandstand finish, and obviously basically a photo finish there at Iowa. And if you go back 2 weeks ago to the Portland International Raceway, the road course in Oregon, we had ourselves a grandstand finish there with the last corner pass with James Scioli getting the upper hand there. Brian Mercurio not able to put that one into victory circle. Here's Brad Slaughter making a pit stop. Not too difficult of a pit entrance here, and that'll be something to watch for as well, Cody. Rockingham used to be a cheese grater track. I know it hasn't kept that tendency on the new pavement, but these Nopes cars do tend to have the worst tire wear of all the top-tier vehicles.
Yeah, they do, Corey. So last week I did a Texas race in another league, and let's just say I do not know how to drive this car because tires were gone. So, of course, with the new repave, it's going to be interesting to see how the tire wear kind of plays into the race and see what happens at the end of 150 laps.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens after 150 laps, and will it be 150 laps? Will we go into overtime, which we have done, pardon me, a few times here this season. I will say we've got to thank thank Mr. Hunter Sleppy for the analytics he does provide us here. Rockingham in the Pro Series has averaged about 5 cautions for 18 laps. Now, there have been 2 races where the last caution was a very, very long run to the end, 1 overtime finish. In the last season race here, season 7, the final caution was 91 laps to go. So that is a long green run, but of course that was on the old pavement. So as I like to say with Larry Mack, sometimes you got to take that notebook there, Cody, and just throw it out the window. As happened at Bristol one year.
Yeah. That reminds me of that when it fell off the back of the pit car, or off the back of a car. But yeah, looking like last year in season 7 with Sebastian taking the win that day, he had 83 laps led. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does, as it looks like we're about to start gridding here.
Absolutely. So we got to thank Central Mobile Homes for presenting the starting lineup. If you're looking for a new home, a shed, or Triple Crown trailer, look no further than Central Mobile Homes, serving Florida for 30 years with many small and large floor plan shed designs and Triple Crown trailers from LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomesinc.com for more information. But let's head down trackside with that starting lineup. Points leader Peyton Howell starting up front with a 23:30. Not too far back, Connor Horn tends to qualify well. Let's see if he can keep that number 67 up there. Travis Beckner, our Hendry County flagman, in third, with Brian Mercurio still looking for that first win on the season for Coast to Coast in fourth. You got Jake Nichols in fifth with a new ride here today in the blue car, with Justin Opplinger in sixth. Drew Farnaz in seventh. Sebastian Perrin, how long will he be in eighth before he moves up? We'll find out. Timmy Pacioli and John Hall, and I think you got an easy list of names there, Cody.
Yeah, it looks like this week's going to be a little easier running through 11th to 20th for me. Starting 11th is going to be Jake Fisher, and 12th is AJ Stravato on the outside of row 6. Row 7 is going to be Alan Elwood and Philip Groner rounding out row 7. Row 8, it's going to be Garrett Conrath on the inside with DJ Stagner on the outside of row 8.
I was debating whether to play the air horn for DJ, but I didn't. Carry on.
Row 9 is going to be Zach Carr on the inside and James Scioli on the outside of row number 9. And in row 10, it's going to be Jeff Wright, and then Brad Slaughter Jr. is going to round out in the 20th position.
Then we got David Weishart and Alex Chilcutt. And Jonathan Taylor, Jeremy Miller, always someone to watch out for of interest. Zach Kerr, the Australian, Lucas Lododo in 26th. Josh Adams and Kyle Taub, 27th, 28th, rounding out our top 30. Hunter Sr. and the Bryce Senesac automobile. And then we'll just let the rest of them scroll on through, because we always have our EOLs, which we'll show you in a jiffy here. And those always askew the back end of the lineup. But we do have a full field. Well, no one's going home. 41 drivers taking time. And you can see some drivers pulling to the inside of the track. These are the penalties that we have. These are all end of lines. Elwood, Jackson Hartman, Jeremy Miller, Jake Fisher, and Skylar Shackelford all going to the back, which we've had weeks where we've had half the field having a penalty of some sort. So pretty clean in the penalty box relatively here tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see a relatively clean penalty box going into tonight. And yeah, looking forward to 150 laps here at Rockingham.
Our keys to the race here, unsponsored. Tight turn 2, we talked about that. We saw that self-cleaning track really come into play, with drivers bouncing off each end of the raceway between walls. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Getting clean air, again, groove will probably be 2.5 lanes. So getting that clean air on the nose is going to be vital in Wreckfest or long runs. Probably going to be a combination of two. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit chaotic to start, but again, we've ended each race this week on a long run, so hopefully that trend continues.
Yeah, and looking at last week, Corey, we both thought that it was going to be a longer night. Racing at Iowa, short track normally breeds cautions, and we only had one caution all night, so it'll be interesting to see how tonight goes.
Absolutely the case here. Our weather conditions from virtual Rockingham, 77 in the air, 86 track. That's actually gone down 8 degrees since Cody and I checked it off air. So he will, that should provide these guys some grip, and you can just see the aesthetics here, that it is a cloudy day, so the only track temp going into the surface is going to be from these 3,400-pound race cars, creating that heat as they make 150 laps. But Peyton Howell in that number 52 WD Racing Supra is going to be the control vehicle and the pole sitter to get this race underway. Area Florida Estate Pro Builders here at this racetrack. Connor Horn to the outside. Let's go racing from the rock. The Mustang pulls into the safety of pit road in the start box. Barty has the flag in hand, and let's get it going. And you could already see the wheel spin off the get-go.
Yeah, that was a lot of wheel spin going into turn 1 here as they're side by side throughout the field. But it looks like Peyton Howell getting out to the early jump as we head into turn 3.
Travis Beckner trying to take advantage of that inside lane. We see the inside lane has certainly been the line to run all week. Outside has struggled off the get-go until that rubber builds in. So give Travis Beckner a second spot. Brian Mercurio trying to fill the gap into the inside as Connor Horn is looking for a gap to the inside. He will find it there in front of the 96 of Opplinger.
Yeah, but so far so good with keeping it clean through one lap as these cars start to get single filed out, some two side-by-side racing throughout the field. But for the most part, Corey, it looks like these guys are content to get into an early rhythm, kind of ride around that bottom and let some moves happen for them as the race progresses and who can save their tires.
That is going to be the name of the game here, is saving tires, long run versus short run. But of course, we got to get ourselves into a rhythm here. And I say if we can get maybe 15 laps in, I think we're going to start getting that green flag vibe here as we will get separation through the field here. But one thing that we really haven't seen much this season is Sebastian Marin, who not just absolutely blown the doors off these drivers. Of course, very, very early in the race, but we'll pause that thought.
Yes. Oh.
Zach Kerr off the pace. Skylar Shackelford, Casey Lakatos. See what happened on our replay here. Oh, there was a checkup with the 60 and the 8, and Zach Kerr seemed to have got the worst end of it there.
Yeah, that just looks like everybody fighting for the bottom going into turn 3, which you're trying to get some moves made early, as we can see on the instant replay, just a checkup. And when those checkups happen, Corey, sometimes you won't be able to not hit the car in front of you.
Yeah, that purple and black, I think that was Kyle Taub to the outside lane, just maybe a little damage trying to scroll through there on the outside. It shouldn't be anything too cataclysmic, but some damage nonetheless. So that'll put us under our first caution. Now, we do have one taker in the pits, and that is Brad Slaughter. Now, I am going to gather either he got a lick of damage there, because remember, he was kind of the first pong in line there. But also, you never quite know when an extra gallon of gas is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, having that extra gallon of gas, obviously, we see it in real life, Corey, especially at super speedways, how important it is to get that tank as full as possible to make that last pit stop as short as possible. Obviously, here at kind of a shorter track, and as you mentioned, a track that seems to be breeding cautions this week, it may not be as important down the line, but you just never know.
Absolutely. Of course, if you watched us last week at the Michigan Speedway for the Cup Series race, you'll remember Drew Jua needed about not even a gallon of gas. He needed about 8 drops of gas more, and he would have won himself a Cup race. You never quite know when you'll just be that little bit short. But we did see again Travis Beckner struggle on the outside, but he did manage to get that second spot back. So now can he time the restart, Cody? We know how difficult it is, especially on these higher bank tracks. It's kind of hard when you're loaded in the banking and you're in the middle of a corner to also be looking left at the cars next to you and timing that start while also not getting wheel spin. It is a lot to ask of those outside drivers to get those good runs.
Yeah, and especially like you mentioned with the fresh repave, it's even more tough just because obviously the preferred line is around the bottom here at Rockingham early on in a run. So to try to make that pass on the outside, there's really no grip at right away. So it has to get a run going into turn one.
It is, but if later in the race, when that outside lane probably becomes the ideal line, at least in 1 and 2, might be a different story. But right now, no rubber really in this track. They're going to be right there on the bottom. Into the restart box. Again, you can see that even on this repave, not a lot of grip on the jump there, but Peyton Howell will get the whole shot. Beckner not able to stay with Howell, but at least good enough to clear for second. Ranger out, but even he will get back in the line. We'll single file out quite quickly.
Yeah, you could see how quick that, even though Travis didn't get the run on the outside going into one, he was able to slot into that second position pretty quickly, which is ideal when you don't get a good restart on top. And we'll pause that thought again as we're back under caution.
Is that Kerr? Well, I falsely accused him of the last incident. He was not, but this time, certainly he was. His rear bumper sitting on turn number 4 there, but it was ahead of him. Number 3, Kyle Taub. Oh. Well, that was the back end of the incident, but the main section of the incident was that number 3 automobile. Oh, he got a little wash up the track by the 07, and then Jeremy Miller saw an opportunity at 3 wide. There. Kind of a multifaceted incident.
You're using some SAT words here tonight, Corey, that is kind of stunning me here. But yeah, no, just absolutely going into 3 and 4, just saw an opportunity at 3 wide, and 2 wide barely works here, and then to go 3 wide through that corner. And then obviously the 66 just hitting the pit barrels, hitting the rear end, and that's not going to end well. Something, Cody, about just seeing a number 3 car right-hand hook into a turn 4 wall. You just don't like to see that. You just don't like to see. In terms of administrative calls, the 66 car on the first caution, Corset area, you can either get 0 points for a racing incident, you can get 1 point for kind of a shared fault, and you can get 2 points if it's deemed 100% your fault, and that will carry into your penalties and all a bunch of not good stuff over the course of a season. The 66 getting 2 incident points for the first caution, and the number 30 of Jeremy Miller getting the dock actually on this caution. Yeah, and something else to consider here now, Corey, if you look up in the sky, that is going to heat this track back up slightly and throw another wrench into it. Or it looked brighter on the backstretch. It is getting brighter, and we are all praying and hoping for the new iRacing graphics model called the Spark model. They are doing the new rendering system, which is going to give a transformative lighting upgrade, because as on the surface. So we do look forward to that day when hopefully cloudy days shine brighter. That sounds like some kind of a motivational song, but we will stop that thought there because I have nowhere further to run with it. But Peyton Howell will take advantage of this restart again. We'll just kind of copy and paste it. Him to the inside, Beckner to the outside. Interesting to see what Beckner changes up on this restart. Obviously, one caution leading into another. He probably learned something, and it will be curious to see if Peyton Howell can modify the way he starts. And just got to be careful because we've already seen wheel spin off the get-go. Nobody has had an issue from said wheel spin, but of course, now we have heat cycles. The tires have heated up, cooled down, heated up, cooled down. That takes some overall grip away, and losing grip and then trying to put that power down, especially in these Notes cars with all the horsepower and the lack of wheelbase they have, tends to be quite the challenge. But we're going to come off turn number 4 here. Peyton Howell box. Looks as though a little bit of wheel spin again. You get to see that little jerk to the right once they hit the throttle, but able to keep it moving. Mercurio there
he might be able to take advantage and get P2, but not going down without a fight is Travis Beckner.
Yeah, on that restart, you saw more wheel spin coming from Travis Beckner there, which ultimately allowed the 82 to get on the inside of him, as Beckner's going to fill in that gap for third, but Connor Horn is not going to let it happen right away, and it now...
And Jake Nichols in that 73 to the outside. Sebastian Marin dusting off the top there, because he's trying to make something happen. He's in 7th right now, with Drew Farnaz in 8th. Again, the outside, not where you want to be. Farnaz trying to get to the inside. Cars that you really can aero manipulate. Get right to the rear, and no rear diffusers, nothing underneath. Once you take the rear off, aero-wise, Cody, these things will just loop around.
Yeah, once the air comes off, like you mentioned, the cars just loop around, and in such a small confines with looping around, if you loop it, you're probably not safe from more contact. Obviously, with these guys, they obviously know how to drive these cars pretty well and can kind of know how to manipulate it a little more than us. As you can see, so far so good with that rear not really turning anybody around.
And there's Sebastian Marin again trying his slow climb to the front. He started 7th, I believe, now up to 6th, getting by Jake Nichols there. Drew Farnaz trying to double up there, not able to. Now Drew's going to go to the top here. I think that was actually when you go up high like that, Cody, if you can't turn that car down the banking and get the run off of 2, you just get stuck up there. Similar to being on the outside at Darlington. If you're on the outside of 2 at Darlington, it is not a good situation. Very similar here at the Rock.
Yeah, very similar situation, Corey. Going into turn 2 here, the wall just comes up so quick, especially with the banking. It's so hard to turn the car, and you have to lift to make the corner. But obviously you can see here we're starting to get a little more single filed than we saw in prior runs, so it looks like these guys are about ready to settle in for a decently long run here. But you just never know, as you can kind of see Sebastian going on the outside of Connor Horn there for 5th.
You think back in the old days with Mikey Waltrip, Dale Jr., there were certain people that would dust off the high line and get it while it was good before everybody else found it out. Looks like Sebastian's trying to play that. Kopplinger has gone for 2nd, and Beckner, I think they both fought for the bottom, and he had to pull out a line there and evade contact. We'll lose 2 spots up there as Sebastian on his way through the field, but we do have a battle forming for the lead. Brian Mercurio, again, looking for that first win on the season, especially after that Portland domination that ended in a last couple corner grass pass there by, who is that, James Scioli. He has gotten right to the rear deck lid of Peyton Howell, but now, again, he's running right in his tire tracks, Cody. That's not putting any air on that Supra.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make that car more tight and coming off the corners. And even looking back at last week, Brian had a really fast car early in the race, and as the run went on, Peyton kind of started moving up through the field, but him, Jake, and
Timmy Pacioli loose off of 4 underneath John Hall. Sorry about that, Cody.
No, you're perfectly okay there, Corey. But yeah, last week we just saw he had a very strong car early, but as the race went on, it just kept getting more and more battles, and ultimately his car faded towards the end, but he's right back up there in the top 5.
And just trying to find ways around. It looks like that outer lane is just slowly dominance here, just mainly in 1 and 2, but here's Jake Nichols trying to run it in 3 and 4, just a lane up of Connor Horn to try to put some air on the nose and maybe drew even, but didn't actually gain anything out of it. And Travis Beckner, he started 2nd back to 5th, but you can catch him at Hendry County on May 9th, as racing will be back there with open wheel mods, V8 Warriors, and more. Tickets $20 for adults. Kids and seniors get in free, and some discounts for teenagers or something on those lines. But you can see the racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, Clewiston, Florida, off US 27, HendryRacing.com. And Good dirt racing there, just 2 days away if you're watching this live. As another Hendry County vehicle not having luck at that moment.
Yeah, we're going to see that more and more as the run progresses. Obviously, the best time to get going is when those tires are fresh. You have the most speed. As they start to wear, and you can kind of see the battle there for, I believe that is right about
13th or so.
13th. As you get tight, you're going to wash up the track, and it's going to allow somebody to kind of stick their nose in underneath of you. And if they do, it could be tough to get that position back.
Absolutely. And someone who's looking for a position, to no surprise of anybody, is Sebastian Marin. You can see he's doing that diamond. He's going high in 1 and 2, getting the clean air, and then he's cutting it off the exit. Run going. That gave him the speed down the back. And then he just drove into 3, drove on by. That is just a textbook pass.
Yeah, that is exactly what you want to do coming off of that corner. Having that diamond motion, it allows you to get underneath of the guy into 3 and allows you to make a pass like that for 3rd. Throughout the field, though, it's kind of surprising how quick that top line is starting to kind of come into play here, and it's allowing for some great side-by-side racing.
Oh, not clear, not clear, not clear. Had to leave a whisker up there for Drew Firenaz. There was John Hall in that number 24. It was very, very tight quarters, but he did leave the space, and now finally clear of that number 20 automobile as we go a little bit further back, and again, more side-by-side throughout the field here, where just as I say that, they do solve it out. AJ Stravato and Zach Carr. Mentioned James Scioli earlier. Again, he won Portland, and he's up there top 5 in points. Prior champion. Not showing too much muscle yet here at the Rock. Currently running in the 16th spot. Let's just double check where you'd expect someone of his stature to, again, former champion, multi-time winner, just always a top 5 threat, but you know, he could just be a late burn here today. Come to the front when it matters, as caution flag. Donald Kite and Bryce Senesac.
Curious what happened there, Corey. One up top, one down low.
I think it started with Donald Kite. Let's see, that is Cole. No, it was not even Donald Kite. What was... Who was this person in front of Donald Kite? And then with Josh Adams. Okay, so this was a, as I like to say, a multifaceted incident.
Yeah, that was interesting to see what happened. Side-by-side racing going into 3, and
that's Garrett Grant. Now, what in the world? We do have pit stops going on, so they just kind of met in the middle there. They had their issues. And then the 2 cut sideways, and then just all sorts of everything there going on. But we do have pit stops going on, and I feel like this is a good opportunity for strategy to happen. We're far enough into the run, but we're not too far into the run. Looks like 4 tires going on, and actually doesn't seem like any awkwardness there. But Sebastian Marin getting out of the pit second, and he didn't take 2 tires. He just had a whale of a pit stop. 14.3, fastest on pit road. Allows him to jump, I believe, 1 or 2 vehicles.
Yeah, he was in, I believe it was 3rd when they came down pit road. It's going to be interesting to see if he has the same type of wheel spin that we've been seeing all night so far, Corey, on that outside lane.
Absolutely. We'll see. As more grip goes down there, rubber, you'd think maybe it'll get a little bit grippier. Admin calling the number 5 vehicle there, Garrett Grant. We kind of saw him on the inside, kind of coming back up the track into Josh, and admin giving him the no there, giving him that situation there. So again, it's some of our other partners here with our channel. Blue Tip Pool Builders. Bring your party to life this summer with Blue Tip Pool Builders. They can bring your pool with your unique style and aesthetic They have skilled craftsmen and cutting-edge tech to bring your pool to life. If you don't have room for a pool, they can also do outdoor kitchens, dynamic lounging, and the like. Head to bluetippools.com. Again, partners here with the Area League, and those will scroll by on the bottom of your display. But Peyton Howell, first time today, he's got the big boss on that outside, Sebastian Marin. Whenever he's here, he basically wins. And now he has a whiff of the lead. Let's see if he can grab it. Heading into the restart box one more time. Barney has the flag. And on the loud pedal, but Brian Mercurio is going to do his best, but not enough. Sebastian goes right down to clear for second.
Yeah, that was an impressive restart there from Sebastian as he was able to get clear for second place. As you can see, these guys are starting to make some moves off these restarts, going inside, outside, as you see 3 wide back in the pack.
Yeah, and that is scary, because again, we got to get to the... That was James Scioli in the middle of it there, but we are so far winding our way through. Haven't found a way to get like to 15, 20 laps. That's usually when the race kind of starts to spread out a little bit, but we haven't been able to quite get that far into a run yet. Maybe this will be the opportunity. Here's 2x2x2x2 Daytona style. You got Chilcutt, Stravado, Jeff Wright, again James Scioli, 04 DJ Stagner, and somebody near all the way up into the wall there. That is Jonathan Evans.
Yeah, and Jonathan Evans so far this race is up 14 positions. So he is making passes going through the field. But it was kind of surprising how quick that car kind of shot up the track right there. Obviously last week we saw him do that long run, so he knows how to handle these older tires. But right there it just looked like it was one of those early fresh tires and just got a little loose going up to the high line.
Luckily able to evade, nobody else there to get in his way as Alex Chilcutt, again, somebody who has been better in the other series here in this season, but already has wins and high tier point status, but thus far is having an average run here in the Florida Estate Builders Pro Series, which sometimes I flip-flop the words on that, so I do apologize to our title sponsor for when that happens. But Sebastian Marin not putting up the immediate charge to Peyton Howell, but that could be a methodic approach, Cody. He may not be trying to go for the hare approach, rather going for the tortoise approach if we do get that long run.
Yeah, and we're at a interesting point of the race, Corey. Obviously, we went back green with about 115 laps to go. From what I remember, they can go about 90 laps. So if we do get a little longer of a run here, we could see some strategy. But it's best to try to save your tires early if you know you have the speed to get up there later.
Absolutely. And of course, again, our race stats here, our trends of the race, again, put together by Hunter Sleppy. Last season, 91 laps to go was our final caution, and to make me do mathematics, I think that would be about laps 59 to go. Well, lap 59, that would have been the final caution, so that's just a little bit of a stretch, but if we go from this point on, we'd certainly break it. Longest run to the end was 98 laps to go, which, oh my goodness, that would be lap 52. Would be the longest run to the end ever here for Area at the Rock. But here's Jake Nichols looking to the outside, talking about that outside working here. These drivers are utilizing it.
Yeah, and the part with running the outside, Corey, you are going to burn more tires earlier running that high line than compared to the low line. With this dynamic track that iRacing has kind of put into play on the surface, that inside line, you're just better off saving tires. You can kind of control your speed a little more. Running that outside, you're going full throttle around. Going to burn up some of your tires.
Absolutely. You could think of it as, just no rubber in the track. All that, those pores, the grit from that asphalt will just rip the rubber right off the tires. But when you have a layer of rubber down, that rubber essentially protects the tire from losing the rubber at that exponential rate. So when you're the first up there, again, it is the higher risk, but the reward is usually there with that extra momentum and trying to get that run off the corner and underneath Beckner, not able to do so this time but here's Drew Farnaz again driving to the bottom. trying to make some shorter advantage here. Not going to work. Jake Nichols again looking for a sniff up high, but he does not want to put it on that low lane.
Yeah, so far you can see him being the one that's committing to that outside lane the most. Something else to take into play here, Corey. I just looked at the track temp. We started right around that 89-degree temperature. We're up to 105 degrees with the track temp. So the track has heated up significantly, and that's going to play a massive factor as well, because as the track gets hotter, these cars are going to slide around a lot more.
You're going to see the shimmer off of these cars. That implies that the sun breaking through. It's still a cloudy day, but you can see that the clouds are breaking here as Mr. Sun is shining down, at least in small sense here at the Rock, and raising that track temp, like you said, making things more slick. Usually that's what these drivers want, Cody. They don't want to be slot cars. They want to be able to slide around, get that thing sideways, show their individuality, and get some separations. These drivers, at least most of them, they're probably excited about it, but I'm sure some of them are going to miss the grip.
Start slip sliding around, you're going to see some of the talent come out of these drivers. As we mentioned before, it's fixed set. So as the car is a fixed set, as caution. We're back under caution.
Ben, you can't park there. All right, and he chose not to park there. He got that virtual tow truck, but let's deduce why he was backwards. 31 behind him. 31 went for the slam dunk, and Bryce Senesac, innocent bystander. And if you have outside of Travis Beckner, if you're a Hendry County person, you have been in the wall at some point. Oh, Bryce Senesac actually got some airtime.
Yeah, that did not look fun.
And who is the 83 as well? Sebastian Miller may have got a graze in that. But yeah, it was an issue of just some aggression. Steve Durham maybe thought he could make it stick, but it did not stick. And admin very, very quick on the call there to give the 31 the administrative 2 count there. Anybody taking the shot into the pits? Like, it wouldn't really make too much sense. Although there is 4 sets on the wall here, Cody, and what we've seen this week is we really haven't seen the situation this week where you're kind of stressed with tires and you want to run out. There really has been a good solid 1, maybe even 2 sets on the wall for these drivers most of the week.
Yeah, we do see some guys towards the back of the field. It looks like David Weishart, Jeremy Miller, Brad Slaughter Jr. are all some of the guys taking this opportunity to pay here. As I mentioned, from what I know, it's about a 90-lap fuel window. So we have about 100 to go here right now, Corey. So with fuel saving, there's a potential some of these guys may be trying to do the long run to the end, and we could ultimately end up with a fuel race here, Corey.
I did not expect the Truck Series race on Tuesday to end 75 laps to the end, but it did. So at any point, the next caution could be the end of the race. As I said a few times, the trends have had that happen with 90-plus lap runs to the end, although we have had 2 races that had the last caution within the last 10 laps, and season 6 with Zach Carr getting the win ended in overtime. So we'll see where this thing plays through, but Sebastian Marin was able to get that really, really good restart last time, got to the bottom of the track before Mercurio could fill in the spot. But again, Mercurio, if he can time it and stay with Peyton Howell, he could put Sebastian stuck to the outside, and just being anything he could do to take that 95, put him in some dirty air. It's obviously going to be a worthwhile tactic.
Yeah, and we're seeing the speed so far. He's up 6 positions since the start of the race. So trying to get him a little more tight, getting him in that dirty air is going to be beneficial because he has the pace early on here today.
He does have the pace, as he does most every week. Well, let's see what he can do to put that vehicle in victory circle. A lot of time to go before that comes into fruition. But Peyton Howell gets onto the box there on the loud pedal, gets going there, and this is what Mercurio wanted. He's going to drive to the inside of Marin. Will he be able to clear or wrap that car behind and clear him? That outside lane just showing its stuff there, Cody, and all for naught.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sebastian was able to get that run going into 3, and it looks like he's going to be able to drive by on the outside as we see side-by-side racing for about 7th and 8th on back.
Indeed the case here. Travis Beckner, who has just been looking for that first win, although he has been so close in different series. Looking for that first win. He is in a whirl of a situation here. 24, John Hall, who won our race at Las Vegas. He is to the outside. Timmy Pacioli, who's just trying to get some semblance of good luck here. And first season started off abysmally for that number 86, but slowly turning around. Just trying to get some spots here within the top 10. Garrett Conrath battling with AJ Stravato. And back of the shot, you can see, finally, James Scioli, who was just not taken to Rockingham too well, is really tight. Jake Fisher, DJ Stagner giving each other no room there. And behind, Jeremy Miller, always someone to watch.
Yeah, Jeremy Miller sent it 3 wide on the outside there in 3 and 4 and made it stick and was able to gain some positions right there. And he was one of the guys that did come down to take tires. So he's trying to get the life out of these tires early and make up the positions while he can.
And you said he went 3 wide. Well, he went into the wall there, and that kind of bounced everybody else down. But he managed to get by. So again, he's using those tires, but he's also using the car. Now trying to get to the outside of Chilcott, puts himself in the wall again. That's going to take all the newness out of the tires. It's going to take the goodness out of the car and almost takes the car out of it with that dive in 3.
Yeah, and that's one of the toughest things to do here, Corey. You have the fresh tires, granted, even though they're only 15-ish laps newer. You're going to have so much more speed. You're going to have to find areas to make those passes. Now, going into turn 1 right there, he was low and tried to send it in there. But as you can see, 3 wide back. Oh, and there's side-by-side contact there and towards the middle part of the field, right about 22nd position.
That was the 87 automobile of Jonathan Taylor, who is put in a precarious position here. As again, these fresher tires trying to work their way through. We'll switch over our ticker onto the stints so you can kind of see who is running where and who has what in relation. And it is Jeremy Miller. You can see 8 laps in, 26 for everybody else. So we're seeing that 18-lap difference come into play here as he's now looking to the inside of Philip Groner. That is for the 13th spot. And as he makes each pass, that is cleaner real estate. And each pass might be a little bit easier, but also a little harder as you reach a higher tier of driver here. But up front, we have managed to single out, spread out. And let's just take a gander here at who is running faster of our top 2 right now.
Yeah, so far we can see Sebastian Marin running a little faster of a lap time. Not by much, but just enough where he's starting to gain some time. Battle Tracker shows that he's about he's about 3-1, and this is where I'm going to fail, Corey. 3/1000ths of a second or 3/10ths off the lead.
Absolutely, 3/10ths off the lead, but just behind that, Mercurio getting right to the rear deck lid of the 82, and now trying to find somewhere to get around. Now he's going to go to the high lane, and that's the high lane. We have not seen someone that high in 3 and 4, and you can tell it did not work.
Yeah, and what I'm kind of seeing so far, Corey, is even though that didn't necessarily work that time, the high line seems to be working better in 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. It seems like guys are able to get a little more of a run. And don't look now, though, Jeremy Miller is starting to get in the picture here as he's up to 7th already with those new tires.
Absolutely. 2 sets of tires utilized by Jeremy, so he would actually want this race to play out a little bit more naturally because he doesn't want to get put in a spot where he has 0 tires. I mean, even if I think we have more than enough to play with, you don't want to have 0 because that's just a stressful situation. But he'll go ring around the outside of Opplinger. And was that Timmy Pacioli with a wiggle there off the corner. Timmy is in a whirlwind of activity right now. Farnaz to the middle. David Weishart to the outside. 3 wide down the front stretch.
Yeah, and there's 2 rows of 3 wide there very briefly. Oh, and he's sliding up the track a little right there, Timmy is. And it looks like they're going to get this straightened out. But in that middle part of the field, when you have those old tires and new tires, it can provide for some great racing and also can sometimes get kind of sketchy, Corey.
Yeah, it gets a little sketchy indeed as these drivers do start to figure things out. But again, now we have Jeremy Miller. Oh my goodness, wasn't he just 8th? Look at him going for the lead now, getting by Mercurio, and now trying to find a way by Sebastian. Sebastian tries to block the air, but he has that agility on those tires, drives to the bottom. Talk about NASCAR 25 on easy mode. Jeremy Miller slicing and dicing.
Yeah, Jeremy Miller looking on the inside here going into 2, and he's going to make that pass, and he's just going to set sail here. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how quick those tires kind of burn off for him, but you're seeing more and more guys with those new tires starting to make their way through the field as we see David Weishart in 5th and Jonathan Evans in 6th, and they're going to be right up there as well here very shortly.
Look at that stopwatch on the ticker right there. Last time by, a half a second faster than Sebastian Marin, who is now by Peyton Howell. So Sebastian Marin is now the best of the rest trying to get by. So we'll see what happens here, but Evans trying to get through, but all the while Jeremy Miller driving into oblivion. And could you just imagine there, Cody, if this is the run to the end? I mean, it doesn't seem like it could be because we have so much going on now, but Jeremy Miller could easily drive out to a multi-second lead. That was Peyton Howell and Mercurio, I think both into the wall there off of 2.
Yeah, both of them made contact coming off of that turn 2 that tightens up very quickly. And you're going to see it here on the replay, what happens. And this happens all the time, Corey. You see the guy in front of you doing it? Yep, you just follow the guy in front of you. I think we've all been guilty of that one time or another.
Absolutely. It's a good thing and a bad thing because, you follow someone, you almost forget how to drive because you're just so accustomed to what they're doing here. We'll go back through the field and find some more side by side. And that is Diego Sainz, AJ Stravado, Drew Farnaz, Connor Horn. Remember, Connor Horn started outside of the front row. Garrett Conrath into the wall. And this is going to be tied off of 2. Oh, my God. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Well, that's not when I expected that wreck to happen. I thought it was going to happen off of 2, not down the backstretch into 3, but we'll take a look at it here. I'm going to call that the 04 was a little overly optimistic there with that middle lane.
I would agree. Obviously, that also now throws another wrench into this, Corey. We saw how quick Jeremy Miller, David Weishart, and Jonathan Evans got up to the front here. We're going to see the inverse of the guys who did not pit last time come down and probably take tires. And we're just going to flip-flop what just happened.
Yeah, this will be the 3rd set for Jeremy. So, I mean, 75. He'll still have one more set to play with. But, I mean, he was probably hoping this went a little bit longer. But is what it is. So coming into the pits here, there is Jeremy. There's David Weishart. I mean, Jeremy, fuel only for the 30.
Oh, that is a strategy call right there, because something else I noticed, Corey, it shows that he has pitted 3 times before this already. So I don't know if he took another set of tires somewhere along the way, but we do have Gabe Herschel staying out on old tires with Jeremy Miller right behind him coming off pit road first.
Absolutely. So this will be very interesting. I think exactly that. Jeremy just did not want to be in that tire hole comparative to everybody else. And now he's going to even out, but he's going to drop like a rock. And we will see how it comes into play with how he blends out. How does he get up to speed? And will the 07 actually intend to stay out the whole time? And looks like the answer is going to be yes. So we're going to have a chaotic front row but David Weishart, again, taking advantage of the situation. Now he is on the best of tires, and he is now going to be third ahead of all those drivers he's been racing all race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what David Weishart does here, Corey, just with the new tires and having a front row that has older tires. You're going to want to get the jump as quick as possible. Is he going to send it 3 wide? Obviously, we've seen with wheel spin, it may not be possible, but you just never know going into this turn 1.
Absolutely. Here, as we are now 2 laps away from the halfway point at the Rock, even though we have had a fair bit of cautions. The race going by at a modest pace. If this thing does go green, we got about a half hour of racing left, so not as much time as you'd think here in the Florida State Pro Builders Area Series here at the Rock. Round number 6. Corey Silva and Cody Bird giving you the calls here tonight on PTR TV and on the Area iRacing Twitch. But old tires on the front row, and we're going to have a lot of drivers behind who want to go, and they want to go quick. Let's see how this all works out. 07 does not go. Weishart immediately pulls the hard car down to the inside 3 wide, and Sebastian goes around the outside. That 07 is a roadblock.
Oh, yeah. It was surprising to see how bad of a restart those old tires kind of did. And you saw it right there. Those new tires reign supreme. And Jeremy Miller is spinning.
Well, how a race will go from good to bad in record time. Jeremy Miller was just driving through the field like a boss, and now he's backwards. Let's take a look at what happened on the replays on that outside lane. Now, we were focusing more on 07. Oh, Mercurio. Mercurio went in deep. But it could be, deep compared to his fresh tire standards there.
Yeah, that just looks like new tires met old tires. And those tires now have some heat in them, Corey. So whatever grip those tires had is probably now gone, as you see Mercurio coming down pit road to probably get some damage fixed.
Yeah, Justin Opliger, Mercurio, who, it's hard to say. I mean, these composite bodies can take a lot, but I don't see anything. But, you think of it from a different context. This is halfway. This is 75 to go, 73 to the line. Is this a top off? Is this a couple seconds for damage repair, helping you get to the end of the race with no issues? Now, you said around 90 is probably where they can run. And, yeah, this is going to be longer than a fuel stop. So, obviously, some damage on that 82. His first win of 2026, probably not coming today. We don't have, unlike in the Truck Series, a perfect parity season. Of course, Sebastian Marin winning the first 2 races of the year, and then had to take a couple races off for hardware issues. He broke his pedals at Las Vegas and was not able to finish that race out. So. But he's back here, so I think if he's been in a race, I think he has won a race. So for Sebastian, he's trying to keep a perfect season alive.
Yeah, and that's a big thing to keep kind of going, Corey. Having that perfect season, obviously we saw it earlier this year in real life with Tyler Reddick winning the first 3 races, and people were starting to wonder if he was ever going to lose. And even though I'm new to this league, you can already see how the other people race Sebastian. A lot of respect there with him.
A lot of respect, as he is one of the higher I-rating drivers, not even in the league, but as in the service as a whole. As you'll see that number 95, that namesake Sebastian Marin, you'll see him a lot here on the top tier of iRacing, and of course you'll see him at the top of area, but that is not a slouch to anybody else. Of course, David Weishart, our Season 1 Cup champion, trying to make something happen, and he has kind of lucked out with the circumstances, did David Weishart, but now he's up front on even field to everybody else. So we'll see what kind of pace that number 29 has to lead this field in clean air, but Jonathan Evans not going to be a slouch to that outside. Of course, Sebastian and Peyton Howell going to be in row number 2. Back in the restart box. Let's get it going once more here. Taking lap number 78. And I still think that 07 has stayed on the racetrack. And 4 wide at the Rock. Never a good idea, but we've temporarily made it work.
Yeah, that '07 is just falling like a rock right now. Not having those tires, and with us just going back to green not long after the last pit stop, taking tires there wouldn't have made much sense. He needs a little bit of a longer run here to kind of get a gap to the rest of the guys on tires and hopefully gain an advantage that way. But we see a battle for second here between David Weishunt and Jonathan Evans, but look who's now in the lead. Sebastian Marin is back in the lead.
And that is the most dangerous thing that anybody in this field could ask for, because usually when he gets up there, he usually doesn't give it back. But we'll see what happens. A lot can be had. A lot of circumstances can happen in the course of 70 laps at a very difficult 1 mile racetrack, as Travis Beckner battling with Philip Groner here. This is within the top 10. Timmy Pacioli, Connor Horn, just there in his immediate arrears. But look at Travis Beckner going around the outside lane, again showing that second lane's ability here mid-late race. Oh no, that's Jonathan Evans going for a ride, and we're going to look at the replay to confirm it, but I believe that's going to be a Ricky Rudd Save of the Race award. But we gotta watch the good old replay first. Got hit by the 52. I think he actually got saved by Jake Nichols to the inside. If that's the case, I can't give him the Ricky Rudd award. No, he got hit and saved. Both by car contact. So I can't give him the Ricky Rudd Save of the Race because the 52 actually ended up saving him.
Yeah, that was, I hit you, and I'm going to save you as an apology, it kind of seemed like. As he's fallen back through the field now, Jonathan Evans has. And we're back to the top two being Sebastian Marin and Peyton Bell.
04 DJ, around on the back. Oh, DJ, that's my DJ. A rap song that nobody will know, but I do, and that's all that matters here. Coming off the corner. Oh, the 15 was loose, and that created a stack-up. There's the 1 down to the inside of Hunter Sr., but that all stemmed from the 15 just having a major looseness attack here through the exit of 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what it kind of looked like right there. Yeah, the apron does that to you too.
Questionably tasty.
What, he did a little spin and kept it going though, Corey.
What does it mean for something to be questionably tasty? It's so good you have to question, why does this taste good?
I think so.
Like, what is that thing that, oh my God, I watched the podcast. It was like it's a year old at this point, but it was Dale Jr. and Cletus. Liver mush. You know, he's like, Dale Jr. said liver mush is like the best thing ever, and Cletus couldn't jive with it. You know, the Australians, Vegemite, they say it's so good, but everybody else questions it. Maybe that's what it is. It's only good to you, and not anybody else. I don't know. Let us know in the old YouTube and or Twitch chat here, as we do have a myriad of pit stops going on, but we are going to take this opportunity to go to a quick break here as we reset ourselves for the finish of today's round number 6, so please stay with us. All right, we're back here on PTR TV again for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series there. Get that one right, 150 laps. Corey Silva and Cody Bird in the booth here. Just had another caution flag, but we're getting ready to go back for a restart. It's going to be Sebastian Mayer in the control vehicle, the leader here, taking lap number 87 out of 150. Peyton Howell has led a bunch. He's to the outside, and everybody's sliding and getting squirrely on that opening jump there, Cody, as we funnel off into the corner.
Yeah, towards the back of the field, you saw a lot of guys looking like the tire spin is starting to get a little worse here, obviously, as it's go time. But, yeah, so far,
Now, we do have some black flags on the board, but we also have we're still green, by the way.
Oh.
Barney is apparently sick of the cautions himself, and he just said, let him go.
His arm's probably tired.
I think that may have been contact with some help from Garrett Conrath, and because he spun out on the apron, as far as I understand it, Barney just said, let him go. Garrett Conrath did get a black flag, and he is heeding to it now. Looks like he had a stop and go. I'm not sure exactly what the sim will give you to constitute a stop and go, but perhaps some of you know, as Travis Beckner eating some heavy wall off turn 2.
Yeah, this track, you're starting to see the racing starting to get a lot more crazy here. As you can see, David Weishart kind of starting to fall back through the field. I don't know if he stayed out on older tires there, and that's ultimately what's kind of happening. He's getting eaten up by all these guys
He's
with
on
fresh
even
tires.
keel. He's just...
Oh.
So I'm kind of confused myself, unless he is on a level 2 strategy, and we're only thinking level 1, but either way, he is not headed the right direction. Maybe fuel saving, trying to go to the end, not quite sure, but anywho, Philip Groner wiggled to the inside, Connor Horn to his rear. You can see a 609 sandwich there that the number 11 is in there, with Horn to the front of it and Zach Carr to the back of it there. But everyone dedicated to that bottom of the racetrack. But up front, Peyton Howell, remember, he's led a myriad of laps here today. In fact, 64 of them, and is hoping that he can find a way to stay with that 95.
Yeah, that 95 so far this race has been very fast. Obviously, Peyton Howell leading most of the laps so far, but we also have another name coming into the picture here, Corey. Jake Nichols coming into play, starting to run down these top 2 guys. It looks like he's kind of figured something out here in the second half of this race.
Maybe he has, as again he works his way through, and his teammate James Scioli slowly working up. He's up to 12th right now, and actually just behind the battle here, Zach Carr in the 97, Drew Farnaz in the number 20. That's for 10th, and James Scioli trying to figure out a way by Jake Fisher to his rear, and looking a little further up, you can see Connor Horn. He was getting closer to Travis Beckner. Beckner's car still driving okay. He really did pound that wall. But again, these hard bodies there, they could take a beating.
Yeah, the composite bodies have been kind of a nice change of pace, where you can hit that while it's not going to kill your car. You're going to be able to keep driving it, but at the same point, you don't know what else you could have knocked loose. Obviously, this isn't the Cup car. We see how often that the what is the name of the thing now, Corey? I had it on the tip of my tongue, and now I do not have it. Toe link.
Yes.
Obviously with the toe links. Yeah, it's a suspension thingy. Let's go with that. That can play a factor too, and it could throw off your steering wheel. But these guys, they're hitting that wall and they're keeping it safe, but I wouldn't do it too many times.
It is cumulative damage here. As I'm trying to enhance my vocabulary, Cody. Cumulative damage, so the more you do it, the worse it gets over the course of a race. But these guys can't settle it out. Connor Horn, Travis Beckner side by side here. And this battle is hot and spicy, as is Rick's Hot Sauce. We don't have a Rick's Hot Sauce car in this race, but some of the best hot sauces in South Florida. Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, and South Beach Heat. And of course, stay tuned to see who's going to win that Rookie of the Year battle for 100 Smackaroos in our Area Cup Series on Monday nights. RicksHotSauce.com. James Scioli going for 11th now, outside of Zach Carr, trying to knock the door into the top 10. We'll say up front, Peyton Howell's not necessarily closing. He's keeping a steady gap to that 95, not letting him get too far out there.
And you see contact there with the 84 and 97. It looks like they're going to save it, but that looked like it was going to be problems going into turn 3 and 4 there. Keep it side by side here, and looks like everybody's gotten it straightened up, and we're going to resume staying green here. But looking towards the back there, you see Brian Mercurio starting to drive back up through the field here with some new tires.
Yeah, newer tires, very slight. Actually, no, he's uneven. Is he on? But yeah, by 4 laps. So at least he made a pit stop anyways. I don't know if he took tires though, but he did pit obviously to fix that damage, but working his way through. But up front, Peyton, that gap is not now stable. It is getting smaller and smaller. And also along with him is 73 of Jake Nichols. Sebastian just running that higher lane, which has worked. And actually, just as I say that, I think maybe that outer lane has started to work, because now that 10th that he lost, he's gained back, and now Peyton Howell says, you run high, I run higher. But will it come at a gain? It does not appear to be as such.
Yeah, no gain yet, but obviously we see it with other tracks. As you run that high line, you gain momentum and ultimately start to kind of chase down the leader. But as you can see throughout the field, it's getting closer up in the top 3, but that middle pack, they're right neck and neck with each other as we focus in on James Scioli there. But yeah, some good battles.
Yeah, it's very strange to see for me, because I think about what I saw on Monday night and I think about what we saw on Tuesday night. And those vehicles both, it seemed like they had a harder time getting right up to each other. Now, I know the truck aero model, drivers are still learning there, as I think Opplinger just hit the wall. In the Cup car, we know how much it hates dirty air, but I think it's just the older sense of this car. Of course, it was as it was called, the Xfinity car. I think this is even loosely still a nationwide car. It really hasn't changed in over a decade. It allows them to stay closer to each other. Dirty air still exists there, Cody, but it seems they can manage it a little bit better than the truck and the Cup car.
Yeah, dirty air definitely still is a major factor with these cars. You can feel it when you have the clean air. Your car can be very loose at times. When you're in that dirty air, it gets very tight. As you can see, the 20 and the 7 of James Scioli. And I apologize, Drew. I'm not the best with pronunciation, so I don't even want to try and mess it up really bad on you. But yes, you see the battle starting to kind of develop here throughout the field.
And David Weishart, remember, he started on the front row, and now he's back to the 17th position. And I know that is not a skill thing. That Weishart knows how to wheel a car. I feel like he's on some level 2 strategy right now that we don't know about. Of course, he tried that at Michigan in the Cup race last week, and it almost worked, but not quite. So, but with 44 laps to go here at the Rockingham, that's only about 18 minutes. We're ripping this place in about 25 seconds now with the fall off, which I guess maybe this would be as good a time as ever. Let's actually talk about the fall off here. What actually is that magic number? And right now, a 666. You might want to run a better lap, because I wouldn't want to have that be my best lap, but that is about 1.6 seconds of fall off. 35 laps into the run. We still have to run 40 some odd more. That's about 75-ish laps to the end. That's similar to what we've done prior this week.
Yeah, and Corey, another thing to take note of is on the old surface, the fastest lap ever ran was a 24.263 by Sebastian. Now, looking at the lap times today, it looks like we're almost a whole second faster, or about 7/10 faster than the previous track record. So obviously these speeds with the new pavement are a lot faster, but just a fun little nugget of information there that there has been a new track record set here today.
Absolutely. That is something you don't hear of too much here in this current era with how slow at least the Cup cars are. You used to see track records all the time in the Gen 6 I still remember to this day Jeff Gordon running a 206 average lap time at Michigan. I think it was in 2014. It was just breathtaking stuff. But sadly, those days are behind us, at least at present. But John Hall has managed to really work himself through the field here. Now, he started in 10th, and he's been running in the top 10 all race, but now he has gotten by some really strong vehicles, and he is about 3/4 of a second behind Peyton Howell. And again, John Hall has won a race at Las Vegas. Not really comparable in too many assets, but what it is good at is he's good at saving tires, and he's good at long runs, and both of those are very important tonight.
Yeah, the long run speed is very important here as we start to get in a rhythm. Excuse me, I apologize for that. Coughing fit right there. But yeah, we're seeing some new contenders starting to move their way up through the field as this race has progressed here today, Corey. And obviously, there's different laps where people pit. Seeing with Philip Broner, he pit about 36 laps ago, and most of these guys are about 40 laps on their tires. So we're starting to see some wear start to come into play, but most of these lead guys are all on the same strategy, it seems.
Okay, so they'll have to go like 70 some odd laps to the end if indeed we go to the end. And even that mid-pack, well, no, they still haven't left each other yet. Starts off with Farnaz and Scioli there in ninth spot, and then you have Groner, you have Mercurio on his charge through the field, you have Jeff Wright. Again, he is always someone who just quietly runs in the top 10, almost won the championship last year against Sebastian Merritt at Charlotte, but last lap pass took that away from him. But he is in that 12th spot battling with Zach Carr, and then Justin Opplinger and Jonathan Evans after that amazing occurrence through 1 and 2. I can't call it a save, but amazing occurrence. And here's an occurrence for you. Let's go 3 wide, sort of into 1. They do funnel it back down to 2.
Yeah, that could have got really interesting if they stayed 3 wide through 1 and 2 here, Corey. But yeah, we're starting to see more and more tire wear kind of happening. Something else to take note of is we're seeing a lot of these guys start to move up through the field, such as Sebastian Marin up 7 positions, John Hall up 7 positions, Travato up 8, Nichols up 3, Scioli up 9. We were talking about it early, Corey. We hadn't really seen Scioli kind of move through the field. He is now when it matters.
Trying to do that old Harvick closer card here, 9 spot, but still looking for a little bit more as Sebastian Marin has that number 30 behind him. Of course, Jeremy Miller, the roller coaster race, started in the back. Well, started because he had the penalty. Drove through the field, got the fresh tires with Superman driving like a bat out of hell, got him up to the lead, but then the sequence of cautions didn't work in his favor. And just running off pace comparative to the fresh tires, got turned, and ever since then, he is now, I believe, a lap down in the 30th spot. We do have, I think, 7 drivers out: Zach Carr, Kyle Tao, Ben Pierce, Bryce Senesac, Alex Chilcutt, Alan Elwood, all out of the race here, and we still have 29 drivers on the lead lap as we approach 30 laps to go.
Yeah, and we're seeing more and more just how Sebastian kind of saved his tires, and he's opened up back up a 1.6 second gap. You may remember about 10-15 laps ago it was down to about that 0.3 of a second. Well, he's opened up back up another second on top of that. So was he saving tires there, and that's what allowed those guys to get close? It's starting to look that way, Corey.
Yeah, maybe that was just the last ditch hurrah. That is all for naught here, as John Hall has gotten, actually no, he is still about 3/4 of a second back, but quite a gap has formed. Actually no, AJ Stravato in that 77 has managed to get by Jake Nichols for the 4th spot here. Timmy Pacioli, now I do have to do some level 2 analytics here. I don't know if this is all just long run pace. It seems as though everyone's on the same tire strat, so this is just long run pace starting to take over here as we are now approaching a full 2 seconds of fall off. And then, of course, Cody, just doing the raw math here, you cannot pit now from a strategy perspective. The math is not there to get you back into your spot or at a net gain. So the only reason you're pitting here is if for some reason you can't make it on fuel.
Yeah, that would be the only reason you would pit under green at this point. Now, if there was another caution, as Larry Mack would say, throw the notebook out the window. I wouldn't even know what's going to happen. We could see 2 tires, no tires, 4 tires. You could see a lot of different things. As we see here, Travis Beckner back up to 8th position and closing in on Connor Horn.
Connor Horn looking to the inside of Pacioli, and we're just seeing the struggle. And you saw him lose it on the bottom. Washes all the way up the hill, but that may actually be advantageous for him because Pacioli had to run so high, put himself in the wall. So kind of the penicillin effect. It was an accident, but it worked to his advantage, allowing him to clear for the pass.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what comes into racing. Sometimes luck like that is all you need to make that pass. As you see here, that Beckner is making a pass into turn 1 low on Pacioli.
But he did not force Pacioli up the track in a dangerous manner unintentionally, and therefore Pacioli was able to sustain. But now they're but a squeeze up the hill to get around the 30, and I think the 27's looking for the optimistic chance here, using the pick, so to speak, using the screen. Not to be, but he thought about it.
Yeah, that thought definitely went through his mind. As we can see here now, it looks like James Scioli making a pass for 8th here and closing in back on Pacioli. And don't look now too, but Nichols is starting to fall as Connor Horn's up to 5th.
Okay, again, Connor Horn, again, he started up front as well. I think he was at 2nd, I believe. We'll validate that. Yes, he did. And he's usually someone who has the inverse. In the experience I know of Connor, he usually qualifies really well, but he tends to fall back, and he's kind of doing the Will switch. I botched the joke. He's doing the Will Smith because he did a switch. Song from 2008 that probably about 3 people have heard of, but he's doing the opposite of what he usually does here and showing long run pace as opposed to the short run pace. But someone who's also showing the long run pace is John Hall as he's closing in on the 52 of Peyton Howell. He's within 2 or 3 car lengths now, and we'll just see. He's trying to wrap that white line there, Cody, which we're talking about the inside lane going away, but everyone struggles to run the white line, which actually means if you can run that white line, there's a lot of grip down there with some cool track.
Yeah, and what you're seeing too is that lane kind of migrated into that second one, as you can see the 07 going a lap down here. But yeah, if you can run that lower lane and get the clean air on that nose, your car's going to turn very well here. And be able to make some passes. Something also to look at here, Corey, is James Scioli up to 6th place. So whatever he found here, it's starting to work out. He's making a lot of passes here and looking on the outside of the top 5 here as we enter the last 20 laps of this race.
Here's that 24, and just looking to the inside. We'll go on board quickly. Of course, the sun kind of makes it hard to say, but maybe we'll be able to see it in 3 and 4 as it's a little bit shadier over here. Well, I guess 1 and 2. I got my corners backwards. Look at the dark pavement there, but look at right to the white line. You see that lighter strip. That is cleaner asphalt. That's cooler track. So if you could keep the left sides, it almost acts like, PJ1 almost, or resin, as we say, the sticky stuff that they put down at Bristol. If you can get into that, it'll stick really good. But if you miss it and you get into that hot groove, that's where you slide up. That's where you lose time.
Yeah, and we're at the hottest track temperatures that we've seen here today, Corey, at about 109, 110 that I've seen it kind of bounce around on. So the sun's out. What's the saying? Sun's out, guns out. And that's what we're seeing. These guys are bringing their guns out here at the end of this race.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if John Hall, he's not going to get there unless he starts running, tenths and tenths and tenths faster. But no, even last time by, Sebastian a half tenth up, and that number 95 is just driving through the field. Now, again, you talked about James Scioli. He is in 6th, and I say it every week, and I'll say it again. I don't know if I've said it to you, Cody, but there's a difference between running, 7th and 8th. That matters. 2nd, 3rd, that matters. 11th and 12th, that matters. But 5th and 6th, in my book, is a different can of worms. Like, I don't care if 7th and 8th, whatever. I'm not going to fight that hard, but I will fight harder if I'm 6th to get that 5th place spot.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you what that's like, Corey.
Oh, Skyoli is not going to be fighting for a top 5.
Oh no, it's at the announcer's jinx right there, Corey. As you see Beckner making the pass out in 3 and 4, starting to just drive it, trying to see it's that top 5 and within reach. And you said it perfectly there, Corey. You want that top 5.
I just remember, and the reason I'm so partial to it is I'm an OG iRacer, and before league racings were a thing on iRacing, you'd go into your official stats page, and there was really only 2 stats. There was wins, and there was top 5s. So if you wanted, they didn't track top 10s on the iRacing stats page back in the day. So if you wanted an extra stat on your column, if you wanted to boost that number, you had to get a top 5. And it's just drilled in my brain. Top 5 just matter that much. But Brian Mercurio, at least he's going to get a top 10. He's 9th. Of course, his day was, I think he's led some laps here today. No, he hasn't, but he's been close to it. But again, the race, at least it's a good points salvaging day for that number 82, as he definitely needs it. But there's going to be some drivers in this race who might want a last-second caution. It might be a Peyton, it might be a John Hall, it might be a James Scioli. But at this point, oh, jeepers, we might be getting it.
Oh, boy.
Someone expired a motor. And that was Forrest Smith. Now, you're not putting oil on the track in iRacing, but you can taint everyone's rearview mirrors, well, taint everyone's tear-offs with dirt, but he's staying to the inside. I don't know how long he's going to putt around for, but I don't think it'll last that much longer.
Yeah, no, that is terminal damage there, as we can see Sebastian Marin back out to about a 3-second lead on the rest of the field. So he's still opening up that gap, as he ran a 25.7 last lap, and John Hall ran a 25.9.
Yep, you can still see finally into the pits there. I don't know if admin kind of gave him the, hey, get in the pits, but Rockingham's already a track that the windshield gets dirty enough. You could already see even the couple specks of dirt there, and I'll tell you, the grime really does build up here on these long runs. Especially, it's even worse at night at sunset when the sun is glowing off. It really gets hard to see long into these runs. Really want that tear off. Jonathan Evans looking to the inside, and who is that in the fence? That's Jonathan Evans. So perhaps Corey's curse card is in full board. Jeremy Miller, my Atlanta. Oh,
yes,
no. He just ate wall like a fat kid eats cake. But he's chugging on through. Just trying to salvage whatever he can out of his day.
Yeah, he definitely has newer tires than the rest of the field. He just came off pit road, and he is flying at a very high rate of speed here, Corey. But it's going to get interesting here going into turn 1, as we have the 07 who is on old tires. We got the 48 who's on older tires, and the 30 who's on new tires.
Oh my God, look at this closing rate. This is insane. Oh no. Yeah, remember, this was earlier. This is a little bad blood, to quote Taylor Swift. Because it was Mercurio who got into the back of the 30 on that turn 3 extravaganza, but little tap, but luckily nothing more.
Yeah, nothing more. As we stay green here with 9 to go, you can see the battle here for right in that.
Pacioli.
It looks like the 49 and then also the 11, all right in about that 11 through 14th area. Kind of getting close quarters there as we come down to 8 to go.
Jake Nichols has fallen back to the 18th position. And remember, he was up there in the top 5. So I'm not sure if what has happened to him. I mean, we are the deepest into a run we've been all race. I don't know, we're tire-wise, we are now over 2 seconds of fall off, even for Sebastian in 23.666. So he's 2.2 seconds off. Do you think there's a plausibility that some of these drivers might as we call it, a meatball on the tires going down to 0.
Yep, and there was smoke on the front stretch there, Corey. Don't know if you kind of saw that there as the two. Yep. It looks like he got it back rolling. Obviously, all these guys up front just are saying, PSG, please stay green.
I think he might have blown it. I think he's blown a tire.
Oh, that is something that...
No, he doesn't. No, he would have a black flag next to him, actually, because, iRacing gives you the meatball flag. So he's chugging along, but we carry through. Sebastian just wants this to play out. Although I feel he would very well be able to hang on to a restart. You just don't want to bother with it if you don't have to. But Jeff Wright, I think he is the passer, and the 82 is the passee. Little door tap on entry there. That has been a common occurrence here as drivers are struggling for grip late in this race, but I don't want to jinx it, Cody. I really, really don't, and I feel like I'm going to, but this is going to be the third race of the week that has started off rough and has ended out on a super long run to the end.
Yeah, as you can see here, Connor Horn trying to make a pass on that 77. Door slamming each other going down the backstretch here as Connor Horn looks like he is going to get by this 77 on that low line. Just barely. Yep, and he is clear there as he's... Oh,
that was
these tires are gone now, Corey.
That was not a love tap. That was a lot more than that. But we are coming now to 2 laps to go. Remember, if we hit the white flag, doesn't matter what happens, we'll take the checkers. Sebastian Marin going for the turkey. 3 races competed, 3 wins. Only has to do 2 more miles.
Yeah, 2 miles left here at the Rock. Obviously, as we're seeing these guys start to slip and slide as Connor Horn is trying to get around Pete and Hal here for 3rd and get on that bottom rung of the podium.
Yes, he is, and that's a famous interview spot here as he gets to that outside lane, and he should be in a good spot to rip it through here. But coming off the corner here, taking the white flag lap. Brought to you by shop.areaiRacing.com. Sebastian Marin started 7th, ran kind of in that same position most of the first third of the race, but slowly kept himself up in the mix and got himself into the wall here off the corner, but he'll keep it straight. Got a couple good restarts and then just did Sebastian things, drove off into oblivion in his 3rd race here this season in the Pro Series. 3rd victory for Sebastian.
Yeah, what an impressive performance that Sebastian put on here today, Corey. Obviously started in the 8th position, and like you mentioned, you don't normally see him start that far back, but he quickly moved to the front and won here today at Rockingham.
And then we end the race on a 78-lap green flag stretch. So we saw many drivers prosper and many drivers immensely struggle, but of course we have yet to see that 95 in a position where he struggles. He is just cue the DJ Khaled, because quite literally, at least here in the Pro Series, all he does is win, and he will burn it down here one more time here at the Rock. Deservedly so after a 4-second domination here, and those are some of the fastest donuts I think I've ever seen. Better than a Dunkin' drive-through, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was some very quick donuts there, Corey. He just burned it down as quick as Xfinity 5G. Oh, wait, that's not a sponsor here. I apologize. Sponsor plug.
And I don't like Xfinity anyway, so we're not going to plug them. But anyways, let's go over our I just almost said our Xfinity final results here. Sebastian Marin gets the win by 4 seconds. Connor Horn 8 seconds back, but drives himself up to the podium. Peyton Howell, our pole sitter, will get 4th. Travis Beckner, a solid top 5. Scioli drives himself up to 6th. Adre Stravato, Drew Farnaz, Jeff Wright, and Brian Mercurio recovers to a top 10.
Finishing 11th is Jonathan Evans, 15 seconds behind. Philip Groner, 12th. David Weishart obviously led some laps there early, finishes 13th. Jared Skinner, 14th. Skylar Shackelford finished 15th. Timmy Pacioli 16th. DJ Stagner 17th. 18th Justin Oblinger. 19th Casey Lakatos. And 20th Diego Sainz. rounds out the top 20.
It's a running gag to get Casey's last name wrong, so I'm not even going to make you apologize for that one. But the rest of the results we'll let pass on by. Garrett Conrath, obviously a heavy hitter, not having the best day. Jeremy Miller, he was one to watch. Jake Nichols, I think he had to pit 2 laps down there in 29th. And, of course, the final page of results, Chilcutt, not a good day. And he is going to be not liking that in the point standings here today. But let's head down to Victory Circle, and we will queue up our race winner. Well, Sebastian Marin here on Thursdays. You're, as we call it, you're bowling the turkey. You're 3 for 3 here on Thursdays. You started 7th, though. You didn't drive to the front quickly, but once you got there, man, you set sail. What was it like that first stint getting to the front?
Yeah, I felt like I needed a couple laps, obviously, to kind of make my way through the field. It was going to be so hard to pass on short runs with how fast this track is. So I kind of just took it easy, let people kind of wear out their stuff. Started moving around, I think, a little earlier than some others did, and I was finding the grip while others were committed to the bottom, while the rubber buildup was making it slower. So then after that, kind of got to second, and then I was kind of happy riding there. And then that one restart where people were off strategy and tires came through, I managed to take the net lead at the time, but of course the tires ended up passing us. So then that kind of put me back in traffic. Kind of got lucky on the restarts when the yellows fell that I managed to restart third, which I think was just better than restarting second. And just passed the leader in one of those restarts, and then after that it was just manage my pace and set sail. And I was begging for no cautions, and I was hearing my teammates just talk about all the almost wrecks that happened, people bouncing off the walls. I see cars.
Hey, you were into the wall yourself there on the last lap.
I did. It caught me off guard, the car on tires, and I'm like, oh, damn, okay, I gotta open up the steering wheel to give him room. And then by doing that, I'm like, oh, I no longer have room to make the corner, so I bounced it off the wall, but it was just a kiss. The car's fine.
It was drama for us. But one more quick question for you, man. How did all these races this week in area ended the same way? They were a little bit of a wreck fest in the beginning, and then they had a long green run to the end. How do you plan as a driver to, you never know when is it going to be that long run? How do you manage, do I go hard and gain spots or time, but I also might have to prep for the end? How do you balance that?
A bit of it kind of comes down to if you can make it to the end of the race on fuel or tires, depending what the situation is. So I felt like early on in the race, I could, the first run, it was first run of the race, I was going to take it easy, no need to push, right? First run of the race. Now the second and third run, I'm like, okay, we can't make it on fuel. We still got one stop left, but I should start pushing to make up spots. And then once I knew we were good on fuel, then it's just, you got to kind of hold on to what you got, because you can't let people go by at that point, because everyone can make it to the end. So you can save all you want, but a quick yellow, if you start saving, could cost you all the spots that you gave up. So it kind of depends with how many laps to go there are, and if you can make it or not.
Absolutely. Well, it works in your favor. Again, here on Thursdays, you're 3 for 3. I know you'd rather be 6 for 6, but stuff happens. Who do you want to give the floor to for any shout-outs?
Just shout out to the LBB guys for letting me run here. It's obviously been a little rough on Mondays, kind of just having fun over there, not really taking it as serious as I probably should, and just thanks for them for allowing me to run this series on Thursday whenever I can. It's been a lot of fun, and shout out to you for obviously putting up with us. Sometimes obviously some races are better than the others, but that's part of the game. And just thank you for area as well for putting on this league. So obviously a good night for us.
Absolutely, man. We'll catch you next week. Great job.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
And now second place, we got John Hall. So, John, you were one of the people who definitely suited for that long run quite well. Drove yourself up to second, started 10th. Just talk about that late charge through the field on that super long run.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I knew I was going to have some really good long run pace. I was like banging my head against the wall trying to pray for a long run there at the beginning, because every time I started moving forward, that's when the yellow would come out. So yeah, that late run at the end, it was a lot of fun moving around. I kind of found my groove at the bottom there in 3 and 4, and I think that's what kind of helped my long run pace a lot, was just hooking the line down there and keeping it pinned as low as I could. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I just got to get better at qualifying, man. It just puts me in a hole to start every race, but thanks to Yarn Hub and Brass Train for being on the car, and LVV Racing for letting me occupy one of their seats. So,
well, I'm going to ask you one more quick thing there. I know you kind of do your shout-outs first, so you say that, but one more quick thing. Just imagine there, you get a last-second caution, 5-6 to go. You can put some fresh boots on. Do you think you have anything for the 95? I mean, you were matching him on times at the end, but do you think there was any stab at it, or was this just his?
It was going to be hard. I mean, I probably would have had to get a little physical, to be honest with you, because pushing through dirty air when we're all lined up on the bottom is really hard, but I might have had something for him. You never know.
Well, Indianapolis next week, probably be a little bit of a lottery. We'll see if the dice roll in your favor, man. Great job here tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
And now wrapping up the podium here, Connor Horn on the podium here today. You started second, and I kind of said usually you fall back on the long runs, but today you drove through the field on long runs, got yourself up to third. So where'd you find that long run pace here tonight?
I don't know. I feel like maybe it could have been better. I had to drive the hell out of the car to pass Travis. I felt like he lost me a lot of spots over 97 laps. And I finally got by him, and then he started beating my back bumper off, which is, it's Travis. It is what it is. But I don't know. Once I got by Travis, I saw it seemed like Timmy was really driving hard into the corners and then just punching the brake hard to the point where you're sticking the right rear out. And I started doing it, and it worked, and I got away from Travis. And then, that was good. Especially after he got through lap traffic, I didn't want to be near him anymore because, one mistake in lap traffic here can kill your run and, cost you a spot. And then I started catching Peyton and AJ and those guys. I was like, all right, I guess this is going to work. This is rare. I was just waiting for the yellow to come out, make it a free-for-all. But that only happens in a truck series mostly. So it was good. I have long run pace. I wish I had enough pace on the first few runs of the race to not give up those spots and maybe restart top 3, top 5 for that final run, because maybe I could have been closer to Sebastian and John. I don't know for sure. I feel like I probably maximized the race for myself though. So good, pretty decent team points, getting a third and a top 15. Obviously could have been better, but as far as points go, it's pretty good because I threw away a lot at Iowa by speeding. So this is a pretty needed run.
Yeah, this will be your second top 10 of the season. Came in 15th here, about 3 points out of the top 12, and I know with Chilcutt having a bad day and a few others, you should jump quite a few points. Where are you looking to on the schedule next for any good opportunities or tracks that usually suit your interest? Anything looking up pretty soon on the calendar for you? We got Indy, Dover, Darlington coming up.
I do love Indy and Dover. I think I could be pretty fast at Indy and Dover, being our team home track. Darlington's hit or miss. I've won races there, but I don't like the track. And then obviously Daytona Road. I don't know where the pace is going to be there. Kansas Dega. Just matter of getting to the chase first, and then I worry about Bristol in the chase. I like Chicagoland and Charlotte. North Wilkesboro, kind of a question mark. Then Auto Club to finish should be good. But I think for the most part, there's a lot more good tracks than bad. For me coming up, if I could just maximize races like this, we could be pretty solidly in the top 10 in points, let alone in the top 12. I just wish I didn't speed last week. I probably gave up 20 points, but gained a lot back this week. And like I said, we had pretty good team points at 609 Motorsports. And, Matthew Tomalleri, Matt Liveries, doing all the work on that paint scheme. Finally got him an interview and got him more TV time, which was good. So thankful for that. Thankful for all the other sponsors, Market Vey Lip Balm, AmericanFishes.com, New York Pizza Department, and Managed Mobile Fleet Maintenance, everyone who helps Cincinnati Motorsports field 3 teams in 3 different series. All those guys are a big part of it, especially Matt. So thankful for his support over the past 5-6 seasons, and just happy to get a good run across 2 series I run. It's Cup has been decent. This car I thought it'd be better than the Cup, and it's kind of been a struggle, but figured something out today, and hopefully it translates to the next few races.
Absolutely, man. Well, you did a great job here today. You've had speed, just putting it all together. You did it at least for 1 race, and I'm sure you'll do it for more, man. We'll see you soon.
Have a try. Thank you. Appreciate it, Corey.
Thank you. Well, Cody, it turned in again. We had some very, very interesting moments here today. But all in all, these drivers, we said they're going to have to man these cars across this track. They had to man those drivers on an 80-lap run. 3 seconds of fall off almost. These drivers had a task ahead of them, but Sebastian did it best.
Yeah, and we heard it in the interviews how much of a pain these cars were to drive around here, just with tightness and everything, and trying to find different ways to turn the car. And ultimately, at the end, Sebastian was the one to figure it out and take home the win at Rockingham.
All right, of course, like, share, comment, subscribe. Consider following and subscribing on the Area iRacing Twitch. Check out shop.areairacing.com. All the other partners in the description here of this video. We'll be back with you next week for Area on Monday for the Cup Series at Indy, but we'll also be live with the Triple Bypass Racing League. Elbows out, a lot of content here on PTR TV. Stay with us for the ride and hope you enjoy all of the shows. But that's going to be Corey and Cody signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.